again, bodybuilding fans around the world. Welcome to another Primetime Muscle. Tim Wilkins, as always, joined by Tarek El-Guindy, the real deal Chris Cormier.
Thank you. Thanks. Good to be here.
Gentlemen.
Incredible to be here. Let's talk about the guys.
Let's talk about the guys in the men's open who either competed last year in the Olympia and didn't crack that top 5, so they're not automatically qualified, or a couple of the favorites out there that just didn't qualify. What do they have to do? So, Chris, you know what? Let's go to the big board. Let's not play around.
Let's just go right to it.
But what's the mindset, Chris? Have you ever been there where you just didn't qualify for the O, or you had to requalify?
No.
No.
No, I mean, to me, I always felt like if I didn't qualify, then, that we had a different way of getting into the Olympia back then. But that was always the thing, like, throughout my career. Like, I wanted to make sure I'm qualifying every single year for the Olympia.
And you qualified every year?
Every year.
All right, young bloods, there you go. Tarek, Iain Valliere went from what, 6th last year, 7th? 7th to 11th.
Correct. Yeah, he was the guy in 2021 on that second call out. He was the guy that won a show and told everybody, I'm going to be on the first call out. Now, Tim, he's a great bodybuilder. Iain Valliere is a great bodybuilder. He has won plenty of pro shows. He's going to go down in history as one of the best Canadian bodybuilders of all times. I got to give him credit for that. Was this performance his best performance? No, it wasn't a good performance. He'll be the first one to tell you, I missed my peak. I'm going to be better next time. The biggest issue here is his back double biceps, his back lat spread, because look at this. This is one of his best poses. This is how he won in Texas. This is how he won a lot of shows.
That's a great shot.
You know, look at the hamstrings, the legs. He's massive on top. He's a mass monster. But then from the back here, this is not a good back double biceps.
Yeah, well, I saw him on Instagram leading up to the show, so I was like, okay, I mean, this guy is bringing it. You know, had more detail in the abs. I thought he paid more attention to his midsection than ever before, in my opinion, because I saw things that I haven't seen before in him. So I was thinking, okay, he might do some damage here. But even missing his peak, he still, I mean, it's not like you were last place. Like, you totally missed what you were gonna, what you planned to bring on the stage, and I'm sure you're totally disappointed. But still, it's not that bad of a placing.
This pose, Tim, is first call out.
Absolutely.
This pose here, sorry guys, we're going to cross here. This pose here is not a good pose for him. He's out of the top 15 with this pose.
No.
So he just needs to equalize his talent.
Low back tie-ins, mid back. There seems to be a space missing.
And I'm not even worried about the calves. Calves not even really looked at as far as something to worry about.
Just because you didn't have it doesn't mean we're not looking at it.
Well, no one ever says anything about calves.
Okay.
People, I mean, clearly we see some damage here, but what I'm saying is, it's not like a lot of judges say, hey, man, if you bring those calves up, you're going to be placing better next year.
Let me tell you then, he needs to bring up his calves, his back, and here's the thing. I had a chance to talk to Iain Valliere, and sometimes we look at the posing, and maybe he needs to practice his back posing. I'm not saying he's pinching his back on the back double biceps, but on the back lat spread, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
He needs to fix that. And if he fixes that and he becomes as good as that side chest, this guy is formidable.
Well, now, here's a question for both of you, because when you get to this level and you make it, you qualified for the Mr. Olympia, and somehow you get buried. Somehow you end up in that tied for 16th out of 37. Is it just a matter of, like with Iain this year, yeah, there's some things that could improve, but are there some things that you say, all right, those other guys were just that good, I got to pick it up because I was good enough to win the Toronto Pro, the Vancouver, the Indy, the Chicago, but at the big show, standing next to the top 5 is just a big wall.
Well, if you look at this pose here, like, I've been critical of him before, like his side tricep, you can just clearly see damage. But if you're not doing yourself justice by keeping his arm bent and behind your back a little bit. If it's out here on the hip and locked straight down, then you're going to get the most out of that tricep, because there's no way that tricep can even contract in that position, not fully.
Well, let's see who else we've got here, Tarek, because we're moving. We've got about 4 or 5 guys to talk about. Antoine.
Yeah, so that's another guy. He's a
Chicago Pro winner.
Very good bodybuilder. He brings a lot of energy. But, you know, Tim, let's get down to business here. Do you really want to be a guy that wins a pro show and goes to the Olympia and gets bombed? Is that who you want to be in your career?
And this guy here, you know, winning the Chicago, I was there, and he looked crazy, crazy good. I just think he's maybe a victim of peaking, having to hold that condition or staying close to that condition, and then trying to go to the well again and make something happen at the Olympia. It's very hard to do, because I was never really, it was either like, I felt like if you did the Arnold Classic in my day, which is give you like 6 months, the second show is going to be hard to duplicate that look or improve that look. It can happen, it's been done, but you know, waking up the day of the show, sometimes all the muscle bellies are not filled with glycogen. Sometimes you just don't have that look.
Tim, what I want to say is this. He recovered. He was not doing well. He recovered. He did the Chicago show. He lost to Iain Valliere, took second, and then he went to Chicago, won. What I think is he needs to fill up the chest. That back double biceps is missing some top sirloin. This is one of the guys that I would say, take a year off.
Okay.
Take a year off, okay? You could very well win the Chicago Pro again. You can win another pro show, but it's not enough for you to make a move at the Olympia.
Yeah.
You're not going to make a move at the Olympia with minor improvements. So this is one of the guys that I'll say, take a year off, get your legs a little bit bigger, get a little bit more meat on the back, a little bit more upper chest.
You need that depth.
Lower chest.
You gotta find the exercises and the intensity levels that's gonna give you the improvement. But, I mean, he has the heart of a lion. I know he can do it.
He does.
You just gotta do it.
Well, the next gentleman here, okay, now this is another one where I say, all right, here's a great bodybuilder that gets to the Olympia, and you get out there with the top 15, 20. I think James was in the bottom 10.
I think he was 14th.
14th?
But he showed some improvement, though, because I was very impressed with what he brought as far as improving from the previous time that you've been in Olympia.
16th.
16th is the tied for 16th. Don't they tie everybody in 16th
Correct,
after that? So I'm pretty sure he was in that last couple of call-outs, which really shocked me for James. And Chris, to your point, Tarek said it. You don't want to be the guy that gets bombed. But that first time on stage, you want to just say, I was an Olympian. The second time you want to say, I'm climbing the ranks and I'm improving year over year.
Yeah, he improved the physique. So that's the one thing that, because he was so flat before, I guarantee you he was very discouraged and probably contemplated on not competing anymore with the package he brought there. But this one, I think I honestly think he can improve from here also. And just the little things, bringing up the abs, bringing up the upper middle back, bringing up those rhomboid areas. The lower lat insertions can get a little thicker right there to show more prominent back detail. Just
over your head, so walk us through that. We got some low lat insertions, we got some upper lat width that's missing.
I'm seeing like a lot of bent over row, and I've seen him doing bent over rows way too heavy. If you lighten that up a little bit, you'll be able to utilize your back in that exercise way more effectively. So, and in here, get those pull downs coming, bring up that intensity. He's got the thickness, and I think he can actually improve a lot if he just put in that extra work.
Yeah.
Tim, I think he's another. I love James Hollingshead. I think he has a thickness from the front, which is one of the best. He is a guy that everybody loves. The Olympia is better with James Hollingshead. But he's another guy that I'm going to tell you, you have the potential to be in that top 10 every year. You're not getting there because you possibly need 1 year off. Come back in 2024 with this back much improved. Come back a little bit wider, a little bit thicker with your condition, with rested bodies. These guys that have placed 16th, 14th, 15th, they have an opportunity to make an executive decision on their career, which is, I'm not there yet. Let me take a year off and come back in 2024 like Martin Fitzwater is doing and shock the world.
Well, look at the abs. I mean, this front pose can totally improve with prominent ab development, and that I haven't really seen that. That's one thing I'd like to see.
Well, so that's James. And then a guy that didn't qualify this year, the Texas King Snake, Steve Kuclo.
King Snake.
This was a big disappointment for me because I thought there was one show where he just didn't make it, and that next show I think was Texas, the Texas Pro. I think he was third, maybe fourth. That was, I think, Akeem and Kamal and everybody went out there after Tampa.
Andrew Jack won that show.
Andrew Jack won that show.
You know, he's been doing that Texas show 2 years in a row before he lost to Iain Valliere, who took him out of the Olympia. And now Andrew Jack shows up in Texas and gets him out of the Olympia again. Here's the deal with Steve Kuclo. He turned pro in 2011 at the USA's. And he was wearing blue trunks.
Hope they've been washed.
He was. But it wasn't this tone of blue. It was a lighter blue. I'm telling you, it was a lighter blue. But Steve Kuclo is in the final stretch of his career. There's no more 1 year off. You need to get it done right now, or you're close to retirement. Get on a diet, win the Texas show this year, go back to the Olympia where you belong, and push it a little bit more in the final stretch. He's a veteran. It's now or never. There's no year off. It's now or never for Steve Kuclo.
Chris, before you pick us back apart, I got to point this out real quick. Eddie Murphy, 1986. Tarek is a crotch watcher. That's what Eddie used to say. The man is a crotch watcher. You know more about these banana hammock colors from 1987 than CJ does from making them. Cynthia James from Elite.
I judge these guys.
I judge the physiques.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
It's their uniform.
Their uniform. Their jersey.
What's your jersey? It's a pretty small jersey, Tarek.
Yeah. I was going to say, you got to bring more than that. I mean, you have a big body here, so I mean, come on, and you got to bring that back up, and it has to be prominent to where the judges are like wowed by it. You can't have a lackluster back to a bicep.
Well, you and I have talked about this a lot while we're training. He's got the opposite problem with a lot of these guys. A lot of these guys have no low back, and they don't have the deep insertion down into almost the hips and the glutes. He just needs width. He needs to go the other way.
Right.
Hey, Steve, we love you. He is United States fireman from Texas. He's the King Snake. Get back to the Olympia, Steve Kuclo.
Come
For
on,
the
guys.
love of God, get back to the Olympia.
Well, the qualification season is definitely in full swing. It's going to be interesting to see who gets back and who makes the improvements. Guys, if you need to take that year off, you know you're only putting on 4 to 6 pounds. If you need them in certain areas, spread across 5'10", 5'11", it's not a lot of weight.
Nope, it's not really actually weight. Just got to improve those body parts, you know?
Improve your body parts. That's what we do in this business, in the sport.
Leave some comments, guys. Tell us what you think and who you think should be on that wall and where they think they should improve. That's what I want to hear from the audience.
All right, we got some guys that it's not a matter of improving. It's a matter of where they're going in the divisions to best suit their bodies when we come back.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, you know I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on trifecta.
And we're back, and sometimes the body just doesn't want to stay in its respective class. Sometimes, and I wish I ever had this problem, you just get too big. There's a couple guys that are moving up or just moving into a different category. I don't want to say moving up because it's just different. We'll start with Kyron Holden, who was moving from men's physique to classic.
So, Tim, I had a problem with this move. I actually called Kyron, and I spoke to him on the phone. I've known Kyron for about 10, 15 years. He competed in San Diego. He's a United States Navy. He competed in San Diego as an amateur competitor, won a few overalls, went to the USA's, took a hard third, missed his pro card, and eventually won the overall at the USA's. I've seen this guy win 10 pro shows, New York Pro. He's the only bodybuilder in the history of our sport to win a show on Saturday and win a show on Sunday. And this past Mr. Olympia was a disappointing Mr. Olympia for him. He's always been top 5.
Yeah.
But now he's out of the top 5. And right off the bat, I heard that he was going to be moving categories. And I was just thinking, I even talked to my wife who knows him. You know, you get attached to these guys because you see them coming up. You know, you see them as amateurs, you see them getting sponsorships. And I called him and I said, Chiron, do you really think this is the best decision? Do you know you're one of the most successful guys in the history of the men's physique? And he says, Tarek, I appreciate your phone call, but I really think that that's the place I'm going to go. And I respect that. Does he have the girth? Yes. The question is, Chris, does he have the legs?
Well, let's take a look here. We do have some video.
Well, I took a trip over to Vegas and we did some posing together. And he, I mean, the legs are not bad. So all he had to do is understand how to connect with them, how to push those legs. But his balance should be there. But I was telling him, if he just don't worry about your upper body, you know, work on the arm peaks if you're going to go that route, and just work on those legs mostly more than anything that you have that you need to even worry about. And the posing and connecting and from head to toe with your poses in the classical manner to where you're going to get used to it. It's going to take a hard learning curve to get there, but you know, we worked and we shot some video on that, and yeah, I mean, he looked like he can do it. It's just you got to make sure you balance out that physique, especially in the classic division.
And he's a tall kid. He's what, 6 foot 6'1"?
He's about
maybe 5'11".
Maybe 5'10". All right.
5'10".
You know, let's go back to the history of bodybuilding. The first classic physique champion was a bodybuilder, Denny Hester.
Yeah.
The second one was a bodybuilder, Breon Ansley. They both turned pro. One at the Nationals, the other one at the USA's as bodybuilders. Well, who's the third one? Chris Bumstead. He turned pro as a bodybuilder. Came down to classic. Maybe came down or switched categories. When you go from being a bodybuilder down, you are an advantage. When you try to move up, you are in disadvantage. If Chris Bumstead tries to go to the open, he's going to struggle. Chiron Holden is an incredible freaking men's physique. Now, he's going to have to hit a back double biceps. Let's suppose he hits a back double biceps next to Breon Ansley. Breon Ansley, who was in the classic just, last year. There is a lot of difference in muscle separation, muscle density. And now let's talk about the legs. Now you're going to have to deal with, Ramon Dino's legs, Chris Bumstead's legs. All I'm saying is, dude, you are amazing at men's physique. You're about to jump into a category where you might get ambushed by some bigger dudes.
Full of piranhas in the classic division, full of them.
Well, Chris, that's one of the things I want to ask. I've been complaining to you guys for a while that the guys in physique are getting too close to classic, even without visible legs. You see some of them stretching out the chulas in the dark sports,
right?
But still, they don't have classic physique size legs, and I don't think their upper bodies could make classic. And now they got to add some wheels.
You're going to need a full year of concentrating on your lower half. That's one thing I did, as an amateur coming up. I knew I needed legs, and that was my first order of business, was getting those legs bigger, whatever I had to do, from sprinting on bikes to getting on, multiple squat racks and leg presses and leg extensions high. trying to do the whole Tom Platz workout, whatever I could do to get my legs. But
Did you get a ponytail and a suit coat?
I didn't do that part. But my legs got bigger, and it totally made my upper body small. So then it was just a process of keeping the legs, at bay, and then working on the upper body, working on the depth of the upper body.
So do you think, strategy-wise, he needs to spend that year on lower body and just lay off completely so he's not even more out of balance?
I mean,
you're just fighting it.
I would do two to three, even just concentrate on different parts of the leg throughout the week, and don't worry about that chest that's going to always be there. That's just a couple push-ups away from staying, where it is now. And work that back, the back of the bicep, like Tarek said, that's going to be very important. And the density it takes with the repetitions. There's no shortcut in this. You got to get the reps in, and that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. So we'll see. Keep the doors open. You can compete as classic. You can compete as a men's physique. That's the great advantage in the IFBB Pro League. Nobody's going to think negative of you if you go back, if you do both. We are there for you.
So before we jump to this next one, Judge, so he's a qualified pro for the Olympia as a physique guy.
He's got to get his qualification as classic.
Yeah. There you go. So let's go to this next guy, one of my favorites, obviously one of your favorites. He's one of the campers from Camp Cormier.
Boom!
Breon Ainsley.
Boom.
So Breon is not moving from classic. He's moving from classic to 212. And we've talked about how hard it was for him to make weight in the past to get down to 180. What's he got to do?
Yeah, well, the thing is, when he turned pro, he was 176. He was in the middleweight class. He won the LA. He won the USA. So that was just 2 shows in. He's a professional already. So now, throughout this whole time, when he first went to the 212 and bombed out at the New York Pro. He didn't really know what he was doing at that time. We got together shortly after that, and he wanted to do classic, wanted to learn some classic poses. Then he went on this long run of wins, like maybe 7 wins in a row type of thing. And then that's when he had to learn, to balance out the physique, come down, but he only had 4 pounds to play with the whole time.
Yeah.
So from 176, and his cutoff was 180 for his height, which only gave him 4 pounds to play with the whole time he's been competing.
As he was off-season 200, 205, 210.
Yeah, so coming down, losing 30 pounds, and, that final week, he still was, shy of, 6 pounds after he'd been in shape from 190 something the whole time. I just told him it was not really bodybuilding. You're not really bodybuilding, Breon, because you got to, cannibalize most of this muscle that you gained in the off season just to make the weight. And then, then we go into this thing. Then you're getting older, and different body parts are going to be changing. And it's a different look when you're in your 20s as opposed to in your 40s. So I think it's going to be a good move for him because it's be a fuller look. And I think that's going to give him a lot more size in the legs and everything like that. What do you think, Tarek?
Tarek, stack him up next to Sean Clarita.
So I don't worry about Breon Ainsley. He's an OG. He is a true OG of this business. He can go from classic to 212, and he can be incredible. He competed as a 212. He turned pro as a bodybuilder. He can come down to classic. He can go up to 212. He was guest posing in Anaheim with, open guys. He's an OG. His coach is one of the utmost OGs. They know what to do. They know the difference. Here's the interesting thing. This guy is highly experienced. He dominates the stage like no other. Even Chris Bumstead, man, I was chasing Breon for years. If you look at the 212 guys, Sean Clarita is aesthetically pleasing. But if you look at the second place, the third place, Angel Calderon, Kamau, you look at Oleg from Ukraine, they don't have the smallest waist. What Breon can do in the 212 is bring the aesthetic look to the 212.
And clean cuts.
Correct. So now when he hits a front double biceps, he might lose on the size against guys like Angel Calderon, but he's going to look more aesthetically pleasing than those guys. This is an OG of bodybuilding, and he can expose the weakness of some of the 212s.
So, Chris, you got 212 pounds to work with at any height. That's up to you. Clarita's coming in at about 180, but he's about that tall. What year over year, you say, okay, he's off season at 200, 205, Brian. That's not his hard stage weight, obviously. His hard stage weight currently is probably 185 to 188 without cannibalizing.
He's been in shape. He's been in shape around 195.
Oh,
190.
okay.
He still would be 15 pounds overweight when he's in shape already.
So now with game planning, what's his stage weight this year with a good off 8 months before he pops up and tries to qualify?
I would say anywhere from 200 to 205. I would think, because he's like 220, around 220 area right now, and he still stays on his diet year round. So he's not like I know he likes his pancakes, and God bless him on that. But he does. He is very. He's a hard worker. He's a ex-football player from Iowa State. I call him Iowa State Brian sometime, and he's a hard worker. He was a D1 football player. So. You know, he has a lot of heart.
Yeah.
He's a fighter, and he's never backed down from any workout I gave him or posing lessons. So, you know, I mean, I have nothing but the utmost respect for him, and I think he's going to do great.
Well, I will say one of my favorite things, especially with a lot of the ladies' divisions, is seeing the ones move from bikini to figure to class to physique, and then a lot of them that make it from physique to women's open bodybuilding.
And you know, some has made it very well and done very well.
Very well. So we're going to see what happens with Chiron and Brian this year and see who else makes a change. I know Sean Clarita's got dreams again this year of hopping around back and forth to the Open and winning a couple Open trophies. We'll see all that and more, and we've got more Primetime Muscle when we come back. And we're back, and guys, one of my favorite things every year, and people make fun of me for it, but I love the press conference. I love the energy. Everybody's there. It's the first real day of the Olympia week. Sometimes it's got that UFC weigh-in feel, especially with the new format with people head-to-head. I'm excited to see what they do this year. But one of the big guys this year, sitting there with the missus, and the guys are coming out. Chicarillo's ringing the bell, and the guys are coming out and talking trash and having fun. And Michael Kuclo walks out. Massive. Nobody else wanted to take off their shirt, wear a tank top. Everybody's all bundled up trying to play that game. Kuclo just pops out in a tank top and rips it off. Come on, let's go. But first year, impressive, qualified, made it to the big show, but out of the top 10.
Out of the top 10, Tim, but he did impress. I mean, his first year in the IFBB, he wanted to go up against the big boys. He wanted to be considered the best or one of the best in the world. And I mean, you know, he could have placed better, but I was really impressed when he took that shirt off and hit that crab with those big old arms
and the big old traps and shoulders.
I mean, he's very raw, as I noticed, very raw in everything he does, from the posing, the training. Everything is raw with him. But he has so much upside. I think he's going to give some people some headaches pretty soon. But yeah, I'm really impressed with what he can bring in the future. And those arms are just gigantic, giganormous.
You know, so at check-ins, you see a lot of the bodybuilders there. He was already wearing a tank top at check-ins. And you see guys sitting there, and they're all sizing each other up. But like Chris said, I looked at this guy's arms, and I said, he might have some of the biggest arms in the history. And to make it even more disproportionate, he doesn't have a big head. You know, his head is kind of small.
Right.
So his arms look even bigger.
Small cranium.
It's like he belongs in a Game of Thrones episode. You know, he's just so impressive.
He's level 9 of the guys you have to fight on a video game.
Exactly. And then he comes at the conference. He doesn't speak a word of English. They probably told him backstage, you don't have to say anything. Just go in and hit a most muscular. And he does that, and is more impressive than anybody's words at that point. I'm a fan of his. Like Chris said, we can still refine him, but man, he has huge upside.
Speaking of refinement, so I know you look at some of these guys like a mad scientist. You go, oh, what I wouldn't give for 2 weeks with that guy. This show's broadcast all over the world and translated. If there's a translator that can tell Michael Goodvito what Chris is about to say, Chris, I give you the floor.
Well, I mean, Goodvito, he's very young, you know, big flaring quads. The back is not too bad for his age. I mean, at that age, you don't expect someone to have that type of back development. And, you know, I had a tough time building it, you know, for a long time, but just his depth to his body is pretty good, I think.
But you want to get him into the Cormier stuff with the intensity and the muscle density and the fibers and all your stuff.
And that comes, you gotta get around someone that's actually done that shit, you know. But he has so much upside. I was looking forward to trying to see if he was going to be able to try to get into a pro show and try to get to Olympia. But you know, there's always time for that. He's a young guy. He has a lot of road ahead of him. As long as he stays doing everything smart, I think he's another one that can shock a lot of people pretty soon.
How old is he?
I think he's in his late 20s.
Wow.
So he's a guy that was with the other federation. He's currently working out in Brazil. He's sponsored by Integral America. I actually sent him a message and say, hey man, we got to get you to the IFBB Pro League. And he responded. He goes, yeah, but you know, I need some type of sponsorship. And I was able to connect him with some guys in Brazil that were looking for a bodybuilder. He's been training in Brazil. He's massive. Now, the thing about, we have not seen him compete in the IFBB Pro League. Rumor has it that he's going to make his pro debut at the Arnold Classic in Brazil. Now, I've had a chance to see him in person and hit a few poses. What happens to this guy is, you know, we talk about when some people hit a front double biceps, they're kind of narrow, and you want to teach them how to pose better so they open up. When this guy opens a front double biceps, it's like he doubles in size. You know, it's incredible. Not only his clavicle bones, but it looks like he expands even more when he hits that front double biceps. He's got the legs. The weakness might be the back double biceps, which is kind of trending right now. You know, it's rare you see a guy with an amazing back double bicep. If you do, you're like in the top 2 of the Olympia. But this guy is incredible. Is he going to be as impressive, as freakish as Michael Kuclo? Maybe not. But does he have more potential physically than Michael Kuclo? Possibly yes.
So here's the thing I picked up from my kids, and I think Tarek does this. He slides into a lot of DMs. He slides in. I'm just picking this up from the kids.
Puppet mastering that a little bit.
Yeah, you should come here. Get out of the World Wildlife Fund or whatever league you're in, dude, and come up with the big boys.
Man,
he's good, though. He's going to be good.
As one of the IFBB Pro League officials, I take great deal of pride recruiting people to the best league.
You want to be in the best league.
And listen, I did not have any contact with Michael Kuclo, but somewhere down the line, somebody from our side reached out to Michael Kuclo and said, hey man, come to us. You know, you gotta make it, you can't make it, hey, we're the best league in the world, you come if you want. We are the best league in the world, but I'm still going to reach out to you and let you know how much we would like to have you on our side.
The best of the best want to be going up against and considered.
See what you're made of.
This like the Super Bowl of the world of bodybuilding. So that's what you have to do to be the best, is to come to IFBB, put everything on the line to see how you fare out.
And how big is in you? Have you seen Good Vito live yet? Or
I have not. I have not met the guy. I follow him on Instagram, but I never met the guy. So I'm hoping this year that he's going to make a debut. You know, at the
Arnold Classic Brazil.
Yeah.
I follow him too, and if you want to see all of them, you have to scroll right and left because an arm is on one side and an arm is on the other. It's just spotty.
Hopefully I can get out there this year and watch that. I want to see that live.
Ride with Tarek. He's going.
Let's go, Tarek.
Well, you can't make it there, Chris.
Oh my God!
You're
you
in love right now. You're in love right now. Brazil's not for you. You're in love right now.
No, well, let's go.
As always, we love your thoughts.
Leave some likes, leave some comments for us.
And your comments on Michael Goodvito and the first go around for Michael Krizo, who, for the lack of English, we had a quick interaction on the escalator coming up and down at the Olympia. And I just got to say, I know we're still 5 months away from the Olympia, 5 or 6 months. We're that energy of being there live is just insane. And to be on an escalator with Michael Krizo, to sit in that room for the press conference when it all starts to kick off is just insanely cool. It has been for me for 22 years.
Oh, still. I mean, it's so funny because even getting ready for the shows are coming up, I still feel like, man, I'm getting ready. I'm getting ready in my own little way. I'm getting ready to get up there again.
Nice. Well, Tarek Gilgindi,
thank you so much. Let's watch these guys in the future.
The real deal.
Thank you so much, Tim. Good to be here again, and I hope to see these guys kick some butt.
Comment, subscribe, like, share with your friends. As always, thank you so much for supporting Primetime Muscle. We'll see you next time.